An example of a time that I managed numerous responsibilities. I would have to say that was my final term at PCC, because I was doing 5 classes, because I had numerous dropped classes throughout my time at PCC, so I had a lot to make up for in order to graduate during that term, in order so I could move on to Eastern Oregon. And I was doing 5 classes on top of working, and that was tough. That was really tough. I wouldn't say it was as tough as my capstone, but the workload was almost more. I would probably say it was more. The capstone was tough because of the difficulty level, but this was tough because of how much I had to juggle at any one given moment. I had to juggle 5 classes worth of homework on top of going to work, and trying to keep that all organized within my brain day in and day out, trying to remember what I had to do, what responsibilities I had, what tasks I had to do that day. That was definitely a test of the limits of my responsibility and time management. How did I handle that? One of the things I did in order to better make it through that semester is I just had to make a list. Like, ultimately, I just made a list of all 10 weeks of that work. On top of and then I also listed, like the responsibilities I had at work, and I just kind of interspliced it within all of it, color coded it, and every single time I would complete a task, I would check off or cross out, that task. But I needed that list, and I needed to check in and really remember what my responsibilities were. I stayed on top of it day in and day out constantly. Like, there was never a day in which I checked out and kind of just took a day for myself. I really lasered in, and that schedule was always in the back of my mind at all times. And eventually I got my way through it. I managed to wade through the waters and whatnot, but and it was so satisfying watching that checklist just slowly but surely get crossed off, because I'm just like, oh yes, okay. Because not only was it satisfying just because you're closer to the end, but it was also very validating to know that I do have that capability in me. Because when I was in high school, I was honestly very bad at keeping track of what I had to do. I wasn't horrible, but I wasn't very good either. And so having that validation that my time in college and my time at work had built up my skills so that I could take on that rather tough term, that was very gratifying to know. So yeah, how did I handle that? Just keep on top of it day in and day out. Take a checklist, and as I discussed in the last video, just take it step by step, because that's all you can do, right? If you always look at the big picture, you'll always despair about how much you have to do. And it's only once you start working do you realize that it's not as big and the responsibility isn't as heavy as you once thought it was.